Hello, good evening, and welcome to Smart Trucking Live. How are you guys all doing out there tonight?
Hey,
Robert, Back Kitty TV, how are you doing?
hey, Joy at Fleet Nav, how are you?
Hello, Joy. Glad you could join us. Bill and Lori from London, Ontario. Hey, guys.
Yay!
Jose from LA. How you doing? Delvin Taylor. Hi.
Somebody's sleepy.
Tom in Illinois. How are you doing? Anton says he missed us. Thank you, Anton. Appreciate that.
Miss me, not you.
We missed you guys too. We missed you guys too. Yes.
Hello from Boston, Massachusetts.
Anton, Patterson, California, headed for LA. Never ceases to amaze me, this thing. La Grande, Oregon, TJ Jones. Hello, TJ. Billy Ray in St. Louis.
St. Louis, Illinois. Road Rash. Smart Trucking is the best on YouTube. Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
You know, it never ceases to amaze me that we can talk to people from all over God's green earth here on this thing. High tech, man. High tech stuff.
Alabama. Calgary, Alberta. I lived in Calgary, Alberta back in the 80s.
Russell, beautiful British Columbia. Done a lot of miles there. It is beautiful.
Done some skiing in British
Done
Columbia.
some skiing there, yeah. Not good skiing. I'm not very good, but I've done some skiing. Didn't break any legs.
Skiing was good.
Yeah, I wasn't any good, but the skiing was good. It was beautiful there.
Atlanta, Georgia. Boston, Massachusetts. Tennessee, New York. Jacksonville, Florida.
North Carolina.
Trucker for Trump.
Marshall, Minnesota. Man, how are things in Minnesota these days?
North Dakota. San Antonio, Texas.
Maryland.
Are you guys able to hear us okay? Is the sound good? Texas where it's hot. Maryland.
Bakersfield, California. Chris Keller. I bet you it's warm in Bakersfield right now.
And I bet you it's warm in Pensacola, Florida.
I bet it is. Can you guys hear us okay? Yep, audio is good, says Fleet Now. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks, Joy.
Thank you, Joy.
Okay.
Well,
Whenever you're ready.
Well, we thought we'd have more of a discussion stream this time around rather than a Q&A. And what we thought about talking about was, you guys are all truck drivers now. Are you going to stick with it? Are you content? Are you settled? Or are you looking around to maybe get out of trucking? I'd be curious to know how it's going out there right now. It's been some tough sledding the last little while with this COVID business, and the rates are down, freight's hard to find, on and on and on. Hasn't been a great year for trucking so far, and I wondered how many of you guys were getting a little discouraged and thought you might try something else, or if you're in it for the long haul, I'm going to stick with it. Let us know.
Or if things have been good.
Or if things have been good. Norman.
Maybe changing to another type of trucking, flatbed, reefer work.
Norman in Cranbrook, BC. Boy, I've been through there a bunch of times. Cute little town.
John, nope, I need to get out. Way too many close calls in the last few months. Are you meaning just close calls on the highway?
That's disturbing to hear. I bet you that's exactly what he means. But let us know, yeah, with four-wheelers, other trucks.
US 85 364. I'm switching from, I think he said from local to OTR. I just missed that. It just scrolled up.
Sometimes the change is as good as the rest in trucking. I've bounced back and forth once or twice myself.
Dusty Roads. I've been thinking about finding something else. What are you thinking of? What are you doing now, Dusty Roads?
The great thing about trucking is it's so diversified. There are so many different directions you can go with it and still stay in trucking. And I always like the over-the-road stuff because I love the scenery and the pay. But you know, it's tough being away from home that long at a time. So I switched back and did local here the last couple of years, and I was glad I did. I liked it. But
He said he had 5 close calls. He said 3 could have been fatalities.
holy smokes!
Wow.
It's getting scary out there. It truly is, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. The four-wheelers don't seem to be paying attention anymore, even less attention than they ever did, and some of them are just bad drivers in the first place. Heck, we've even got some truck drivers on the road that shouldn't be on there. But I know what you're saying.
Norman Desjardins, currently local chip truck, and thought of OTR. We should have no trouble getting OTR work.
Things are picking up for us owner-ops and hauled nothing under 225 a mile from Widner and Sons. That's good to hear. It should be the case. It should be the case. You can't struggle with buck a mile freight. That's ridiculous.
There is a good point Joy makes. She said they did a study that accidents were up in cities because people were driving faster due to fast driving with fewer people on the road. Well, I believe that.
That's interesting. I believe that all day long too.
I've noticed a lot more people running through stop signs too.
Yeah, we've had a rash of that even in the little town where
Yeah.
we live. People are just blowing the stop signs.
Yeah.
And they know they're there,
Yeah.
but everyone's in a hurry anymore, I guess.
Trash hauler. I'm doing great with JB Hunt Regional.
Chris Keller, I had a close call with a guy on a tractor about 6 months ago. Guy pulled off a farm road right out in front of me.
Phew.
Oh, that'd scare you. Wake you right up.
Matthew, moving from flatbed to liquefied gas.
That'll be an interesting change. Be curious to know how you like. I think you'll like it. I always like tanker work. And yet, the tanker work I did, we didn't touch anything. We just backed in and they unloaded or loaded us. I like that part.
Someone's mentioned I'm looking to go back to OTR next month. I've been home since January. Wow.
Did you go home back then just to
Because
kind
you-
of avoid the COVID thing?
Because you wanted to be off the road?
Was it a safety move on your part?
Joe Jones, 23 years, not going to change.
Yes, Captain?
Well, we'll leave the rest of that out. Not going to change jobs right now.
The answer for me was installing 4 cameras on my truck.
Oh,
And you know, Scott Hurd did that. He had cameras all around his truck. And it turned out to be a good thing. It was a hell of an investment. But it saved him lots of money in the long run.
yep. Anyone that wants to move to OTR, I don't think you should have much trouble finding something there.
Yeah, there's always openings in OTR.
Hey,
That's good.
Hey, maybe dreamin'. He's a YouTube star.
Maybe Dreamin's a YouTube star? I gotta check that out.
He won one of our headsets last time round.
Oh, I remember that. Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember now. How are you doing, man? Good to hear from you. Oversize is finally picking up back up. Jody Miller. There's something I never tried, Jody. I never had the nerve to do oversize. I figured I'd get stuck on some corner or under some bridge and I'd be so mad I'd walk away. Never had the guts to try it.
So what would be some of the reasons that folks would be looking to get out of it? Close calls are one. How's the money? Have they messed with your pay recently?
The one fellow just said that he's not moving for less than $2.25 a mile. So
He's
it's
an
good to know
owner-operator?
that. Yeah, it's good to know though that they're getting that stuff as a base rate now at least. So the rates are going up because there are fewer trucks. I heard fewer small operations are working off the load boards, and that's good to hear.
Chris W., I had a lady pull out in front of me. If I didn't have the camera on my truck, I just missed that. I didn't have the camera on my truck. Right there.
I would have been blamed for the wreck.
Yeah,
Ah.
would have been blamed for the wreck. Well, good thing you had the camera.
Yeah, they do save your tush every
Wow.
once in a while. They're a good thing to have. They're an essential thing to have these days. It's a sad statement, and I guess in Europe they've had them for years, and they know they've needed them for years. So it says something about the drivers over there.
Okay, somebody has mentioned that the volume is very quiet, so I think we need to lean into the microphone.
That's probably me. It's probably my fault.
I went home because I hated my dispatcher and I knew if I went above his head I would get fired. Missed it again. Get right there.
Oh, then COVID happened, but I'm broken board, so now I'll head back to work. Too much local work. Yep, I hear that.
Fat boy, 25 years old, been working for Old Dominion for 5 years, driving for 4 years. Oh my gosh, I'm
Making
too slow.
105K in
Boy.
owner-operator tankers. Man, that sounds like you're doing a good deal to me. And Old Dominion's a good carrier. Been around a long time.
Lean into the mic.
I don't know if
Sounds
I'd be looking to make a change. That's a pretty good deal. At my current average pay, I'm making 60 grand a year, and he's only in his first year of trucking. Jose, not too bad at all. Not too shabby, Jose.
Got brake checked. First day, new truck, heavy rain, 79,660 gross. Barely missed him. Company dash cam, got his plate.
All
Wow.
right. Another great thing about dash cams.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta love those things. They're a game changer. They're a saver.
Pinoid news. I hate being on the road away from my family. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
It's
a
a
problem.
tough one.
Joy says our volume's good. Thanks, Joy.
Good. Thank you. So what else have you got there?
Well, I gotta find out what a 1099 company driver is. I keep seeing this phrase pop up, but I don't know what a 1099 is down there. I'm gonna have to find out. Anybody enlighten me? What do you mean when you say you're a 1099? What does that refer to? Where should I go when I'm done my year at Swift? He's halfway through now. The world is your oyster. Check it out, man. Find something that turns you on when you look at it and go that way. If it's long haul, go that way. Just pick a reputable carrier.
Yeah, that's important.
It's everything. It's everything.
So a 1099 is an independent contractor without tax deducted.
Oh. Oh, is that what a 1099 is? Okay. Well, are you guys, anybody else, are you sticking with the industry here, or are you looking to do something else? I should mention too, while I've got everybody here, that Bill Mack died this week, and the younger guys probably won't know who that is, but he was the original radio trucking personality, and he was on in Dallas in like 1969 he started, and then of course a few other copycat radio shows started up in competition, and the only one that I know, the Trucking Bozo, you've probably heard of him, and what's that other guy's name? Dave Nemo, and Dave Nemo seems to have kind of taken over the whole industry now. You probably recognize that name from satellite radio, but Bill Mack was the original guy, and he passed away from COVID-19. He was sick already, but the COVID finished him off. But there's a big loss for the trucking community. The older guys will remember him. And when you got within range of Dallas, everybody tuned to his radio station just because he was talking to the truckers, and that was something special back then.
Ask if anyone remembers that.
Does anyone remember listening to Bill Mack other than me? I'm dating myself here, but it was nice to hear someone that talked to the trucks. I thought that was really cool. And he was a country western kind of guy. He even wrote some music and stuff. He was very talented man.
Jonathan, I'm gonna lose this. I'm with GP. They pay me great. Can regularly break 3,000 miles a week. Oh gosh, I'm so slow. I'm not sure where it is.
If you do your job, why would I leave?
Yeah, there you go.
They can't
Yeah.
hear that.
So another good experience with GP Transco.
They didn't hear me say that.
You know, it's so important to get on with a good outfit. It can make or break your career. And GP Transco, we're hooked up with those guys. Those guys are a great bunch of guys. I recommend them as a good carrier, a great carrier.
Chris Staten, I run flatbed for Maverick. Any better paying flatbed companies?
Not that I'm aware of for company guys. Mavericks actually got a good reputation. I think that I'm not a mega carrier guy as everybody knows, but Maverick's a well-run operation.
There was another comment about Kelly Patterson right there.
I work for
There we
GP Transco as well and break 3,000. Kelly Patterson. Appreciate it, Kelly.
Miko is 60 grand considered any good as a highway driver. That's after all lease commissions come off. 5 days a week, home every night. I'd say that's pretty
Yep,
good.
I'd say you're doing fine.
Yeah, for 5 days a week. Mm-hmm.
There's Fat Boy again. Yeah, Old Dominion is a great company. Just thinking bigger. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. They are a
I'm
good
finished with
company.
trucking. Found a woman I do not want to lose, even driving locally. It's too many hours away. Good for you.
Well, that's probably a wise move too. It's a big switch from going from a single guy when you're driving a truck to someone that's going to be married. It's a big, big jump.
Me and my teammate do about 7,000 a week. This is our first year and I'm getting paid. So now is a good time to tell them what this Friday's video is about.
This Friday's video is all about teams. And it's called Trucking Teams, what trucking companies don't want you to know about running teams. So tune into that for our Friday YouTube. It'll be worth the watch. Michael Mueller, there's Michael Mueller. I always get 3,500 a week and sometimes more at Smith Transport.
That's good miles.
That's really good miles.
It's really good.
Smith has been around a long, long time. They've got everything nailed. They're a great carrier. Well, it's good to hear, Michael.
How many days a week do you work, Michael? I'd be curious how many days it takes on e-logs to get in that many miles. That's a healthy week. That's a long month. Do you work 4 weeks in a month?
The guys that I used to run into that work for Smith, they ran everywhere. They were all over the place.
That's a lot of miles if he works every week.
A lot of them ran. I'd run into them running the coast. A lot of Smith guys. I don't
That's
know.
14,000 a month.
Yeah, it's pretty substantial. That's pretty darn
I
good.
didn't think that you could do that on e-logs.
I'm sure everything's got to be timed just perfectly to do it.
Wow.
I'm not even going to read what Michael Mueller wrote.
Someone has asked what trucking job you could do to have more home time with. What type of trucking job?
You know, there's dump trucking. Those guys are home every day. There's food delivery service. Those guys are home every day. There's all sorts of little short haul work that puts you home every day, and a lot of it pays pretty well too, because it pays by the hour, and a lot of it's unionized. Not so much the dump truck stuff, but there's lots of that stuff out there. A lot of the food hauling, the local food distribution stuff is unionized, and that pays well.
Jonathan Mestrel, thank you very much for the $2 donation.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Michael Mueller, I work bi-weekly and is out 14 days at the time and only 34-hour resets, and I don't take longer breaks. I do the minimum break.
Right on. Maximizing his miles.
Cement truck drivers make $32 an hour. Man, that's pretty good.
Pretty nice, eh?
That's good.
That's pretty nice. Union companies now hire out of school, out of driving school, ABF and YRC, etc. Is that right? Boy, those days have changed, eh? But that's a good thing. It's a good thing for new truck drivers.
Someone has asked about hotshot trucking. We have an extensive article on our website on smart-trucking.com on hotshot trucking.
By the way, you were asking me about hotshot trucking up here. One of them broke down today on the other side of town. His trailer's still sitting there. I'll have to run you over and show you what his trailer looks like. There's just a big Dodge dually basically pulling this trailer. But something spit out on it anyway.
We've got another announcement there.
Something else I want to talk about, or another announcement? I did want to point out, and I think this is interesting, that apparently the Nebraska State Troopers are riding around with Werner drivers in Werner trucks, giving out tickets to other truck drivers that they can see who are playing with their phones or watching TV or something like that. And it begs the question as to how many of the Werner drivers are getting busted by the troopers sitting next to them.
That's sneaky.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a smart thing. The Nebraska State Troopers are good guys. I've met a few of them in my time, one way or the other, but I think that's a good idea. Nothing wrong with that. If you're doing what you should be doing, there's no problem. So.
Ryder Canada pays well. I go to Kentucky twice a week, about 2,500 miles a week, 1,100 a week. That's pretty good.
I bet you that's hauling auto parts too. I think we move a lot of auto parts out of here down into Kentucky. That's good though. That's good. What do you think of the well companies in Wisconsin? They were good outfits, Michael. They seem to have their stuff together. I didn't know a whole lot about them, but they seem to be sharp operations. Anybody else? Anybody else going to bail on the industry, or are we all in it here for the long haul? It's good to know that, you know, this as funny as it seems, this COVID thing has kind of cut down on the driver shortage. Kind of nice, and it's kind of nice that everyone's buckling down and taking the safe route rather than jumping jobs all the time. Sometimes that's a smart move.
I'm leaving a union job. Are you leaving a union job for another job, or are you just getting out of trucking?
Yeah, just because it's a union job doesn't mean it's a great job. It means
No.
means the pay is usually above average, but there can be some pretty crappy working for unions, and you're always at the bottom of the seniority list if you're a new guy, and that can suck. I've been there.
Michael Mueller, I will truck till I drop.
Attaboy, Michael.
Drive till the end.
Attaboy.
Just someone's just getting back to trucking. They've been out of trucking, I think it said, since 2004.
That's a while.
You needed a 16-year rest.
Yeah.
Dave, go work with Swift as a prank.
They probably wouldn't hire me. I'd probably I can't imagine. I'd probably mouth off to some dispatcher that didn't know his butt from a hole in the ground. That'd be it for me.
Snidely Whiplash, I'm going to leave the trucking industry and become a male stripper. Oh.
Are you sure you have the qualifications though?
Now this is going to roll before I finish. I was an owner-operator, company owner, and then sold the company to go to college. Now I'm a consultant in safety in the trucking industry.
Not a bad way to go. You've got experience. You know what
Mhm.
you're talking about as a consultant. So I think that's smart. That's good money. That's clever.
I left a union job, left ABF for Old Dominion, and happy that I did.
Yeah, I think I'd have done that jump too if I were you. I got nothing but good things to say about Old Dominion.
So what would you guys say are the best things about trucking right now? For those of you who are sticking with it and are still enjoying it, what is the best thing? The money?
I've got to say too, I've been watching and now that they're talking about the TA restaurants closing down again and stuff like this because of this second wave of COVID, and I think, God, that's got to be tough when you're out on the road, stuff like that. What are you laughing about?
I missed it. There's some guys gonna go and sell roller wieners at the Home Depot.
There he is.
There it is. I'm gonna leave trucking to sell roller wieners at the local Home Depot.
The sad part is you'll probably make a hell of a good living.
You'd be happy anyway.
Yeah, but do the barbecued rollers, not the
And
boiled in water
And
rollers.
it's not so risky either.
Well, if the wieners are fresh, you're all right.
Well, he's not eating them.
Yeah, well, you got to be able to snack while you're working.
I don't think he can do that.
Hey, here's a good comment. Hate the industry but love the trucks. Yeah, that was a lot like me too.
Michael Mueller, hey Fleet Navy, what's happening?
Look at this. GP Transco. Fleet Nav. Hi there. Fancy seeing you here.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Love being able to move into a higher income bracket and experience more of the world. Yeah, that's a cool thing about trucking too, and it never runs out of different stuff you can try and do. Everyone check out my video on this Peterbilt. I hit a bear. Oh man.
Okay, you got something else there?
Okay. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, I was reading a conversation the other day, and it was basically whether or not these new trucks, these hydrogen electric trucks, were going to take off. And the guy doing the speaking was correct in saying that until they're competitive with the combustible engine trucks, and it's not going to really fly because no fleets are going to buy a whole bunch of trucks unless they're cost competitive and practicality effective, as the diesel engines are now. I don't think that you'll see the end of diesel engines for years and years yet to come because the technology is just not there with these electric trucks. Yeah, they're kind of a novelty, and yeah, they're kind of neat, but they got a long way to go before they replace diesel engines. And I don't know. I think California keeps jumping the gun. They can mandate whatever they want, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. just my take on it anyway.
There were a few comments that people got back as to why they're sticking with trucking, and I've lost them. I don't know if you can see it, Nick. There's somebody that mentioned at 55 years old.
Which one are you
Winter and
looking
Sons.
for?
I'd love being a superhero to my son. No, that's nice.
Which one are you looking for?
Somebody mentioned at 55 years old.
Kelly Patterson. Remember when teachers used to say no one's going to pay you for staring out the window? Yeah, good point, Kelly.
It's probably way up. It's gone on mine. Oh, here we go. At 55 years old, getting a different job that pays decent with good benefits is a challenge in this economic uncertainty. Yes.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? Times are changing constantly, and it's tough sometimes to keep up with what's needed and what's going to be required and where the future's going to lead us. You almost need a crystal ball sometimes.
Well, trucking can be a decent job, but you have to work hard to find what makes you happy and what the kind of work that you like to do.
Yeah, and it's also got to be the kind of work you like to do, but be in a niche so it pays particularly well. Like the average freight hauler doesn't make what he's worth, and that's my beef with it.
Mm-hmm.
For all the skill it takes and the risk you take, general freight should pay a whole lot better than it does. I'm sticking with trucking because it's my passion. It's what I love to do. There's nothing else that will give you the kind of freedom that trucking does. Amen, Daniel
Yeah.
Ford.
Yeah, for sure.
Amen.
There's a good one. 50 cal proof. Question: what can we do as drivers to be able to drive until retirement? Pace yourself. Look after yourself.
Take care of your health.
Take time off when you need time off.
Yep. Try to live life like a human being, not like a driving robot.
Yeah.
And eat properly.
Yeah, live right.
How long do you think you should be a company driver before you get their own authority? At least 5 years, 7 years, something like that.
Couple years anyway.
At least that long.
Oh,
I already know the answer
there's
to that
a
question.
loaded question.
What's the question?
Jonathan Mestrel, thank you very much for the $5 donation and the interesting conversation you're about to spark between my mom and my dad. He says he knows he's going to stir the pot with this one, but he knows that you drove Dave, but he would like to know who the real captain between you and Kathy really was. And if you do value your life, you'll think carefully about your answer before you present it. So,
I've been married a
proceed
long
with
time.
caution.
I know how to answer this question. And it's the truth. Kathy was actually the boss. I did the driving, but she figured out where the money was and how to make it and that type of thing. She was the financial boss, and that's what counts because you're doing it to make money. I was just the idiot behind the wheel. Happily, I liked that, but it all worked out well. But no, she was the boss.
That would be the correct answer anyway. Politically correct.
Yes, I've been married long enough to know that, but it's the truth in our case. Rico says he keeps losing our feed.
Also, real quick here, for anyone who's getting continuously disconnected from the stream, I believe there's a problem with YouTube Live right now. I've checked all the settings on our end and everything seems to be sufficient, but I think it's just a problem with YouTube Live right now. So if you are getting disconnected, just try refreshing the stream, and that seems to be working for the most part. If not, then I'll just have to bear with us until this gets fixed here.
Pasha says 40 more years and I'm done with trucking.
Is that all? Someone asked if you knew the song Damn DOT.
No, I don't know that song.
I
Can you
don't know if
hum a
he's-
few bars
I'm
for
not
us?
sure if he's pulling your leg.
No,
or not.
I don't know that song. There was something else
I see profits. My wife has the brains too. Well, you know, as an owner-operator, it's a big job to operate the truck and run the trucking business too.
It took two of us because I was so exhausted. This is back in the days before electronic logs. I was so wiped out when I did get home, I couldn't have done the math correctly anyway, no matter what. And I would have blown it off because I didn't particularly have the time to do it. So it was the perfect deal for us. It worked out really well.
And somebody's mentioned they got disconnected and they refreshed and they've been fine ever since.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill and Lori. Yeah, thank you.
Save trucking, bring back the manuals, bring back paper logs, bring back emission-free Caterpillar engines.
Oh, who's that? He's a man after my own heart. I agree.
Joy says she wrote a song about ELDs once. What happened to it, Joy?
Joy, we're going to need to hear that.
Yeah, we'd like to hear
We're going to
that.
need to hear that. If you could just even type in the lyrics for
Yeah.
us, we'll get a start on it. And when we talk to you on the phone next, we'll get you to sing a few bars.
Well, we'll get her on Skype and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
can sing it and record it on Skype.
Technology's awesome. We'll do that.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to
but she needs to practice though.
that. No.
Here's a good question. What trucking industry problems do you foresee in the next 10 years and the solution? There's a good one.
Oh, I don't even know where to get started. For me, one of the first things that's got to happen is they've got to improve the pay scale. They've got to improve the pay rates, and they keep trying to head in the other direction, but no one's going to drive the trucks. So they've got to fix that. They've got to get out of the mindset that bigger is better, and quit making the trailers bigger and bigger and bigger, and the trucks smaller and smaller and smaller. If they want people to live with these things in these trucks, they've got to be nicer than what they are now for the most part.
What's wrong with them?
They're not big enough.
No.
They're not, the bunk space isn't big enough.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to quit over-regulating the industry. They've either got to make this DEF stuff work or not. These emissions issues are just killing the trucking industry. Do you want to hear any more?
No, because after all what you just said, what is realistic though? Realistically, what can change out of those things you just
Well,
said?
the problem is the politicians run it, so realistically, nothing will change until it collapses. That's just how they
Joy
work.
at Fleetnab says, "Hi Nick."
Hi, Nick.
So. Yeah.
So, I don't see the politics changing. A lot of guys are going to jump on me here, but I see Trump as kind of a practical guy. He's not a born and bred politician, and I think that's what's needed here is a practical eye, because they can dream up all the goofy stuff they want, but if it doesn't work in practical application, it's never going to get off the ground. But they got to get their heads out of the clouds and think practically.
Dave for president in 2020, make trucking great again.
I'd fire some people in Washington, I tell you that.
Yeah, a few.
More than a few.
A few. Uh-oh.
Do you think Amazon is a threat to freight brokers? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Not that breaks my heart, but yes, I do. And look at Walmart's trying to get into the Amazon game. Stuff changes all the time in the industry. Good question, though, I see profits. Good question.
So what do you think pay will do over the next 3 to 5 years?
Sadly, I think for freight haulers, which are a large number in the truck industry, I think the freight haulers are just going to have to start collapsing the industry before everybody wakes up and goes, man, we got to pay these guys more. But they all whine and cry because originally they got the freight contracts by driving the rate through the floor. And then they came up with this never lease plan to try to recoup some of their loss. But the freight rates have got to go up. It's as simple as that. And they've been undercharging for dry freight for years. Automotive freight, that type of thing, it's way underbilled considering what the cost of moving it is anymore.
I read actually an article yesterday that stated that the profit margin in trucking with these trucking companies now is about 6 to 7%. And now that's average, so you have to remember there's some they're making more than that, and profit margins some are less. When we were in trucking, back when, the average profit margin was about 10 to 12%, but it wasn't unusual for a company to make 14 to 15%.
Yeah,
So there's how much things have changed, and those were current statistics.
that's right. The margins are too thin
Yeah.
anymore. It just takes a couple of flat tires and you've worked all month for nothing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know how carriers operate that way, but
Yeah.
But you know what? That was the founding principle of J.B. Hunt, and he tried to make his money on volume, and for a little while it worked, but not forever.
So are you folks tending to gravitate more to being a company driver, or are there still owner operators in the group tonight? And if you're an owner operator, overall, generally, how are you managing with freight rates? I think somebody mentioned that they didn't do anything under $2.50 a mile.
$2.25 a mile.
$2.25.
Yeah. But he was an owner operator, and he obviously knew his margins, so that's good. But you know, guys driving company truck for freight truck by the mile, some of those guys are getting squeezed something fierce. It's not right.
Yeah.
But they're all afraid to charge their great big customers more money, like Procter and Gamble or somebody like that can well afford it. They need to charge their customers more.
Somebody's mentioned that chemical truck pay is way down. What do we do?
No
that
kidding.
surprises me.
But it's been quiet through the industry, so.
Just in general, they're
general.
just not pulling.
And you know, there's a move away from chemical stuff these days because everyone wants to go green.
Yeah.
And
Some do.
and I know chemical sales have been dropping because of this big green push. And they come up with these green products that most of them don't work very well, but they're green.
Yeah, but some of them can still be liquid.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
A
they
lot
won't
of-
pay as well because they won't be
Yeah, that's right.
hazmat.
Yeah, any excuse to get the rate lower.
Yeah.
It's a wicked
So
business.
Joy had the words, the lyrics to the song.
Oh.
So there actually is a real song.
And she wrote it, or she just sang
I
it?
told you she
She wrote it.
said, yeah.
So she performs it as well, I hope, because I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Jason, hello, Dave and Kathy. Love your channel. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
So I think there's a few owner operators in the group. And I think a few lease operators.
Yeah, David Larimer, lease operator. I've owned my own Star for 9 years. Paid for it long ago. Big bunk, big cat. Sure takes the pressure off. Yeah, Bill and Lori, nice position to be in.
Someone's mentioned about any new CB interviews, but we have our next Friday's video is on CB radios.
Hopefully some of you guys remember those, but I don't know.
A tool of the trade.
It is a tool of the trade.
She's got to work on the guitar accompaniment first. Okay,
She does guitar too?
Well, she's going to learn.
I am excited about this.
Maybe the air guitar.
Well, even that'd be good. In fact, that might be better.
Yeah.
Well, I got something to look forward to now.
Yeah.
Just when life was getting quiet.
Someone's asked what was the name of the service that will fight for you on behalf for your tickets. CDL Defender. They're called CDL Defender.
Michael Mueller, is that what's in your Pete as a Super 10? And how do you like that? Bulletproof transmission. Yeah, I guess, you know, as long as you got enough power to pull it through the rough spots, you don't need to split. Let me know how you like that transmission. They were a tough transmission. Still are, I imagine.
Somebody just sold their truck. Vinny Bednar? Vinny Bednar?
Where is he?
Right.
Oh. Best move I ever made was selling my truck. I'm a chemical tanker driver delivering LTL gas additives for Costco. Great money, great home time, no more headaches. Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Good move. Good to hear.
There are some good gigs out there for sure.
Yeah.
You just got to look for them.
Here's a guy who lives in Davenport, Iowa. That's a pretty part of the country, right by the Mississippi. Love crossing that bridge.
Michael said no, he's got a 13-speed auto shift.
Oh yeah? I've never driven one of those. How do you like that? I haven't. Man, transmissions even are changing. I don't recognize them hardly anymore. I've heard about this 13 auto switch. That's what Jordan has now. That's who was telling me about it, was Jordan.
Fun Jetson Diggs, thank you very much for the $5. Hope you're enjoying the stream this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the support. Much appreciated.
all these young bucks too good for a CB down here. That's from Dan. The last couple of years I was out, Dan, I started noticing that not every truck had a CB. Because you'd call to a guy across the street and he obviously didn't even hear you. And that happened a lot. You got to realize that they were becoming a thing of the past. But then someone pointed out to me that a lot of the, how do I say this politically correctly? A lot of the new nationals didn't run CB radios. It was more the Americans and the Canadians, but not so much anybody else. So maybe that was the deal. Just purchased my first truck after 5 years of leasing. Extremely happy. Good to hear.
Got any more?
What else have I got here on
I don't
the
know.
deal here? By God, I should have written down the name of the polling company in Florida, but they did a poll on the public's perception of truck drivers, and 92% of the public in Florida was supportive or very supportive. It was a really good result for truck drivers.
Of what?
They were in favor of truck drivers. They liked truck drivers. They felt safe around trucks. It was a great review from Florida. So Florida is a good place to truck now, in my opinion, because they like truck drivers in Florida, and we like them. That was nice to hear, though. Nice to hear. So I was encouraged by that, because you get so many bad reviews about truck drivers from the general public anymore.
Melton Truck Lines, what does that say? Somebody said they have to pay for half of your paid parking. Oh, that's ridiculous. Right there.
Yeah, I see that.
Read it so they can hear it.
Melton Truck Line announced that you have to pay half of paid parking. My thoughts, Ruby, are that I'd be telling them I'm quitting, and that's one of the reasons why.
Wow.
I think that's the cheapest, dirtiest kind of move.
Yeah,
No, just no.
It's not acceptable.
No. Tell them no. And enough people tell them no, they'll stop trying to charge their drivers that back.
To park the company truck.
That's crap. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Dark Cloud is going for the long haul. He doesn't even have a CDL yet. Whew.
But you know what you want, and you're headed that direction, and I like a man that knows what he wants.
That's good stuff.
I always knew that was what I wanted too. From about the time I was 14.
Dylan says they don't hear squad on the CB, only for wrecks. Well, it's still useful.
Yeah, at least you know they're coming. And you know what? In bad weather, that's a useful tool to have. I know
More useful than a phone.
the CB saved my butt one time. I was in fog with a couple other friends of mine, and some guy had turned sideways in front of us up about a half mile, and we couldn't see him, of course, but we started to back right down because somebody yelled at us. And by God, it just came out of the fog, just right in front of us. We'd have creamed him for sure otherwise. So, save me.
B. Zakin says Roll makes company drivers pay 100%. Pay 100% of parking. That's maybe I misunderstood.
If that's the case, you guys are living wrong.
Well, that might not be what he meant.
I hope that's not what he meant.
No, I hope not too. Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't hear squad on the CB except for wrecks, says Dylan. But yeah, at least you know where the wrecks are, and that's something. Pay for themselves right there. They need more truck stops in Florida. Yeah.
Yes.
That
oh my
is
goodness.
the truth.
That's terrible.
That is the truth. Aside from Wildwood,
What?
you're hard pressed to think of one.
What was the company?
It was just his name.
B. Zakin. What company is that, if I may ask? Who was the first company? They said Roll.
Roll.
Roll was paid half.
No, he said Roll made him pay everything, and Melton paid half.
Oh, right. So Roll and Melton. Oh my goodness. I gotta take note of that. Roll and Melton. Truck lines.
I hate CB radio. Somebody always wants to fight me. Yeah, you kind of got to turn them down when you're going through some of the big centers, because there used to be CB Rambos. Reno was really bad for CB Rambos. Every time I went through Reno, you almost had to turn the thing off until you got to Truckee.
Wow. Well, that's terrible.
That's ridiculous.
It's terrible.
Making the drivers pay that.
Good Lord. I guess it's sad how many drivers don't even want to use a CB. One guy told me he doesn't need a CB because he has eyes. Okay.
I had an old friend
Yeah.
named Simon, and Simon used to say that he found his truck made just as much money without a CB as it did with a CB.
Hey, someone has corrected us on the pronunciation, and he is absolutely correct. It's rail, not roll.
Is it?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yes,
I've always called them roll.
I'd forgotten. I slipped back to my old habits.
I
My
never
my
knew that.
company doesn't pay for parking either. I just try to avoid paid parking. Mike Waller, what company? Oh, I'm not impressed with that.
Here's a fellow that works for KLLM Transportation.
Jeez.
And the last few years I was pulling produce out of Salinas. I saw a lot of those guys starting to appear with reefers. I don't know how they are to work for. I was always curious. Looked like they were a fair-sized carrier. Yeah, Mike Waller. My company doesn't pay for parking either.
Matthew DeMeyer. My dad used to have to pay for his fuel and get reimbursed as a company driver. Holy smokes.
Wow.
That's probably sometimes in independents or owner operators that hire drivers for the truck. I think sometimes they have them do that.
Huh. Or way back, I
Wow.
could believe that was the practice.
He
Like-
said in the 90s.
Oh, really? No,
Mhm.
that should have been gone by the 90s. But what do I think of Warren Gibson and Alliston? Well, I guess they're okay. I think they're certainly not going to go broke. You can count on your paycheck being there. They seem to have a lot of rules. I ran into one guy that said he wasn't allowed to roll down his windows because it hurt the fuel mileage of the truck. So I don't know if that was the case or not, but I think they're all right. They certainly have good contracts. They've got Honda out of
People are saying
Alliston.
they can't send a super check.
Great contract.
Hmm.
I had a few friends that worked at Warren Gibson, but they were owner operators. Any opinions on Bar None? I hear good things about Bar None. Always have. Michael Mueller, you heard JCT has a 10 million miler.
Troy G. I'm finished with truck driving. The government has filled vacancies with cheap labor from overseas, which has brought down the wages. Trucking has become like a fast food job now.
Yeah, and we got to get it going the other direction. Michael Mueller, the guy's full of hooey if he's claiming he's got 10 million miles. I wonder who that. Stuff like that drives me nuts.
Ooh, the more I learn about trucking, the more I believe it's not a skilled job. I don't think
That's not true at
I
all.
don't think so.
It's a highly skilled job.
Hmm.
It's just other people don't appreciate the skills
Or
it
they
takes
don't take
to
it
do it well.
take it seriously like it should be taken. Bar None is part of Swift. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Says Michael
Seriously?
Mueller.
So they've bought Bar None out, obviously. I did not know that.
Got anything?
Well, Bar None just just slid in my estimation. PACCAR, never left behind, is experimenting with electric trucks, and they have some trucks working in some of the ports as test trucks, trying them out, and you can always count on PACCAR to not be lost in the shuffle. They'll be competitive in whatever they do. So that's kind of interesting news out of PACCAR. Both Kenworth and Pete's are working on electric versions of their trucks, so they're ready for when that stuff does come down the pike. And California will be the first. And PACCAR, Kenworth and Pete aren't too far away from there, so they'll be building trucks for California, and they're going to be ready. One of the things I like about PACCAR trucks is they test them for a long, long time. And when they finally put them on the market, they suffer very few problems because PACCAR preps their trucks so well and does so much research. It's one of the things I like best about them. Josh the vegan, there's a buddy for you.
We don't know that yet. I've asked him if he's vegan. It's not vegan.
Vegan.
Can't get a tractor trailer job in Alberta, Canada if you get your license since the new MELT program. Just lack of jobs or just lack of trained drivers or?
Do they have the MELT program now in Alberta?
Yes, they do. And Saskatchewan.
Chris Keller, I knew Saskatchewan had it. Walmart is slip seating all drivers now, including sleeper trucks. Well, Walmart, that's a mistake. Too bad. Sorry to hear that.
They're moving too fast for me. GP Transco says, we love our Cascadias, but ordered our first batch of Kenworths for teens
Get
in
out.
teal color. Any thoughts on the Kenworth?
Love the Kenworth products. You know what? I like your teal color too. I think that's sharp.
Very nice.
Grabs the eye, but yeah, Kenworths are a good solid truck. You'll be happy with those trucks.
A little more luxurious than a Peterbilt in the
Yeah,
interior.
less plastic inside.
Just a little nicer.
Probably a tighter, quieter cab.
Yeah.
I like them both, but I've had both. I've had both, and I've got good things to say about both. I'd buy another Kenworth in a heartbeat if I was buying trucks.
If.
But yeah, great trucks. Good move. Better resale too, in my experience anyway. Sitting here in my 45-minute break in my Scania, next gen 520 V8 horsepower, New World. Wow. I wish we had those over here. I'd love to take a spin in one of those. Alberta Melt program cost me $17,000 in the end to get Class 1, and companies refuse to hire anybody because of lack of experience.
Where did
Right there, Alberta Melt program cost me $17,000.
Oh.
And that type of thing is forcing truck drivers. No one's going into trucking anymore in Canada because the cost of this mandatory education is so incredibly stupid. And I saw one school advertising up here that to get the money to pay for driving school, you could take out a second mortgage on your house. And anyway, I couldn't believe it. For a job that pays $30,000 a year, are you out of your mind? I think I did a video on that. I did do a video on that. Just crazy, just insane. Like, they've got the right idea to improve the truck driver training, but just the wrong way of implementing it. And the only thing that would have happened was the schools were going to get rich, and it was the schools that cooked it up in the first place up here. But no, it's just, nobody can afford that. That's crazy. Here's Chris. Our 2020 T80s are really nice. You've got the day cabs with the 455 PACCAR and 10-speed manuals. Good transmission. Greetings from Phoenix. Headed to the Port of LA. Nice trip until you get to the port.
I used to work for Ontario Truck Driving School. I lost it, but it says it was $10,000. But yes, I've noticed in Ontario the average is about between 8 and 10,000 for the course. That's a lot of money. Oh my gosh.
It's too much money.
Wow.
I'm surprised you knew of Scanias. Here in Sweden, we were jealous of your trucks over there. Well, our trucks are cool, but you guys got some sharp technology and sharp trucks over there too, New World. And out of all the European trucks that I've seen, I was always most fascinated by the Scanias or Scanias. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. But and Mercedes has a new cab over out too that I kind of like the look of. Love to try one.
Cheyenne Maxwell says, and crackheads and convicts get the free training out here.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem fair, does it? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of dough. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What else you got going there?
I don't know.
Couple more announcements, and then we'll do a rapid fire Q&A for a few minutes.
No, I think I'm out of the news right now.
Okay. Couple of minutes. We'll take some questions. Anything you want to ask?
One more thing I did want to point out about Bill Mack that had the radio show. Back in the day, he used to broadcast live from the Mid-America Truck Show, and that was part of the deal when you went to the truck show. You could see him in his booth talking live and doing his show, and that was pretty cool. I paid $1,200 for my CDL in New Mexico. That's a little more like it. We're going to be sending everybody to New Mexico to learn to drive a truck.
Take a couple of those questions.
Will all trucks be governed to 65 miles an hour only? That's a really good question. Here in Canada, only in Ontario and Quebec are they governed. The ATA desperately wants to govern all trucks, but I think there's so much pushback, I don't think they'll do it, frankly. And I find governed trucks unsafe because you just can't get out of the road. I don't think in the long run they'll do it, as much as the ATA kicks and screams.
Jonathan, I see you finally got Super Chat working. Good to see that. Thank you for the $5 donation. Appreciate that very much. He says he left the tank cap off. He left it open yesterday, rather.
Yeah.
Rained heavy. Any tips? Drained the separator regularly. No visible diesel yet in the separator.
You know, you probably didn't pick up a whole lot of water anyway, because most of the fuel caps are kind of half underneath the cab or the bunk anyway. I wouldn't really sweat it, but keep an eye on your fuel separator. It's a good thing you've got one of those. But yeah, you can always dump a little methyl hydrate in it too, and that'll take care of the water. The manufacturers hate it when you say that, but it does take out the water.
Mike Waller, what are your thoughts on the upcoming changes to the hours of service rules?
I don't see that they gained anything with these changes. I was hoping for something a lot more liberal, like giving you hours to get out of a factory when they run you out of hours at the loading dock or something like that. There was nothing like that. They changed the split, the sleeper split that you're allowed to do, and they changed that your 30-minute break could go to on duty not driving or something like that. I didn't really see any advantages to it. It just was something different. Now, a couple of guys I'm sure will find advantages in the split sleeper berth thing, but to me, it was just a huge waste of time and money and come up with really nothing practical. So, not what I was hoping for, not at all. I'm making 90K as a truck driver. I'm switching into line work for more money. Wow.
Do you think the PACCAR MX-13 engine is reliable?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The early PACCARs that came out, the engine themselves were good, but they were having trouble with the sensors and the sending units. They know about that. They've corrected that problem, and they're a good solid motor. And PACCAR has invested a lot in those engines to get them to be trouble free, and it's worked. They're a good motor. They're a good motor. I wouldn't be afraid to buy one. Not at all.
Matthew says, should we have experienced base hours of service? We actually did a video on that. That was quite a while ago about that exactly.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, Matthew, there was a push a number of years ago, and believe it or not, one of the people pushing was CR England, and they wanted guys with, don't quote me on the direct numbers here, but I think it was with 15 years experience. They thought, and more, they thought those guys shouldn't have to run a logbook at all. And I kind of agree with it. If you've got 15 years in with no accidents, you clearly know what you're doing. And I just, didn't really see the point of wasting your time with a logbook. But, maybe I'm naive. Maybe that was a foolish thing to say. But back then, anybody that wanted to cheat was cheating anyway. So it was, if you had a guy with no accidents and that many years experience, you were pretty much wasting his time doing the paperwork, because it was all faked anyway.
Someone mentioned PACCAR engines are slow and underpowered.
Well, you just plug in the computer, you can fix that problem if you find the right dealership. Yeah, they can turn those things up and down. Everybody can do that now. Turn them up and down. Most companies though like to turn them right down so they squeeze fuel. That's why they like them, but hi there, I'm 14 years old. I'm learning to drive a 10-speed. Do you think this is a good career for young people? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I don't think trucking would be for someone that worked in New York City, but if you're out in the western states and provinces, I think that'd be a great way to have a good career.
There's one. DD15, any advice on getting your own authority for the first time in Ontario?
I'm sure things have changed, but when I did it, I just went straight to the Ministry of Transport and found a guy that handled commercial traffic, And he sat down with me and we just filled out the paperwork, and it was as simple as that.
Yeah, you don't do that anymore.
I don't imagine it's that simple anymore.
No, it's all done online.
Oh, of course it's done online. Yes, I didn't even think of that. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the requirements would be now for having your own authority. They'd probably want to see proof of insurance and that type of thing. But I'd contact the MTO and check with one of those guys. Talk to North Bay or St. Catharines. They should be able to put you in the right direction.
You applied to St. Catharines.
Yeah, that's the big head office.
Okay, we can announce Friday's video. I guess you did that already. Next Wednesday night at 7 is our monthly Q&A session, and we'll also have our trucking trivia with giveaways next week as well. Last time we did a Q&A, we gave away 2 Blue Parrot headsets. Sorry, not Blue Parrot, they were wrong company. Blue Tiger headsets. And we'll have some goodies for next week. If you are able to join us.
Please do join us. Please do join us. We always like chatting with you guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. I've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed it. We've had Nick at the helm here. He's done a wonderful job. Pat on the back to him. You guys be careful out there. Stay safe and keep the rubber side down. We'll see you on the back haul, and thanks for joining us again.
Night, everyone.
Take care.